Welcome back to Chortle Cast.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Chortle Cast. I'm Jake, and again with me this week we have the infamous, the legendary Steven.
I would not use either of those adjectives to define myself.
Well, that's okay. I'm going to use it. Brody is out again this week. He is doing some side jobs. That would be a cool TV show, Side Jobs.
Side jobs,
yeah. He's doing some other work, so Steven's filling in again. Steven, I'm almost to the point where I'm just going to make you come to every podcast. If I had a better way to record your camera, I would probably do that. You know,
that was my plan all along.
Just get Brody out of there. Anywho, this is Chortle Cast. This is the show where we talk. This is the official podcast of Chortle Games. It's where we talk about TV shows, animes, games, movies, whatever the heck we want to talk about. And we've got a great show for you this week. We're going to be talking about the freaking microtransactions in Middle Earth. We're going to be talking about Disney coming off Netflix. We're going to talk about cable in Deadpool 2. We're going to talk about the Olympics. We're going to talk about Dragon's Dogma, and we may talk about something else because this is a free-form show. We can just do whatever we want. So
there are no rules. No rules.
There are no rules. And if there are any rules, we can break them.
Yes.
They say close on the podcast. No. Take it. No, just kidding. All right, well, Steven, let's catch up, man. What you been playing this week?
All right, so this week, I got into a little zombie game that I should have gotten into sooner, called Dying Light.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
How is it?
Okay. I remember way back in the olden times when Dying Light made its first appearance at E3, right. And I was like, parkour zombies. This looks stupid. It is so good.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can drop kick zombies.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that. That should have been in the E3 trailer. Just a dude just parallel to the ground drop kicking a zombie, and I would have been like, take my money, all of it. So I've been playing that game.
That's like a core mechanic too, isn't it?
It's one of the main moves you can do.
Yeah.
But I've been playing it with Miles, and it's 4-player co-op, which is crazy. It's great. So I've been playing it with him, and the way I run my character is I just kind of use whatever weapons I can find.
Right.
Or at least until I got the bow, then I just used the bow. Because of course I did.
We are the same person, yes. Steven. I'm waiting for Fortnite to have a bow. I'm just waiting for it. I don't know that it'll happen, but anyway, I'm sorry, continue.
Yeah. So the way I run my character is I don't have to worry about weapon durability that much because I just do as much parkour kung fu as I possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm the one that's jumping on top of zombies and jumping off of that zombie to propel me into a drop kick into another zombie. I'm the one that's running, doing the drop slide, then shin kicking a zombie, breaking its legs, and then going up on top of it and curb stomping it. I have a pun. So Miles gave me an oar, like a boat oar.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that I remembered this because I didn't go into this prepared. So he gave me a boat oar and as a weapon, and I just walked up to a zombie and I just smacked it across the face with the oar. It was on the ground. It was trying to get up, and I went up behind it and I went, "Looks like you've just been put on death row." And then I curb stomped it.
For those of you listening to the podcast, I am just covering my face in shame and horror.
He's lying. He's crying tears of joy.
Oh my god. That's pretty good.
Thank you.
That's a pretty good connection.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had more, but I'll spare you guys. But no, it's great. The gameplay is really good. It's like Mirror's Edge, but very combat driven.
Yeah.
It's really satisfying jumping from one building that's pretty tall, 2 buildings over, landing a drop kick on a zombie, knocking him 3 buildings over through a collapsing ceiling. It's crazy. But that's basically all I've been playing. I've been playing some more Ghost Recon, been getting back into that with Miles.
Yeah.
But Dying Light has been taking...
I'm surprised you guys didn't play Dying Light. I've watched people do playthroughs and stuff on YouTube, and that's one of those games that I really enjoy watching other people play, but I don't know that I would be good at it, especially on my own. So I don't know.
It doesn't require shooting.
Right.
That's
I enjoy Melee, and that's what I'm all about. So, well, cool. Any TV shows or anything new you've been watching, catching up on?
I've been watching through South Park again. That's been like my
That's your
my
sleep.
random show.
Your sleep
that's
show.
that's my sleep show. Yeah.
I'm surprised you don't have really weird dreams.
I do.
Oh, okay. There you go.
One time, we're just getting all the stories today.
If this ends in a pun, I'm literally just gonna hang up on you.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It's weird. Like it's weird. So back when I worked at Channel 16, local news station, I had to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go to work at 4. So I went to bed really late for me one night at about 11:30, and I fell asleep somewhere between there and midnight. And I had a dream that there was a fight that broke out at the County Line Pizza Hut.
Okay.
No idea why. I've been to the County Line Pizza Hut once in my entire life. That's a road here in Jackson. Go to work and find out that a fight had broken out at the County Line Pizza Hut at 11:45. This doesn't happen on a regular. Like when I was asleep.
Yeah.
A fight broke out at the County Line Pizza Hut.
And you dreamed
while I was dreaming about it. Yes. So, I've been watching some TV shows lately.
You just had like a prophetic dream.
I had a prophetic dream about a fight breaking out at a Pizza Hut. That is such a waste of prophetic powers.
Jeez. That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
I've never had that experience.
Yeah.
So, do you want to make any predictions right now about the future? Since we've discovered you're a Saiyan?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay. All right, well.
I have been watching some TV shows.
Okay.
To answer your question.
What else have you been watching?
My Hero Academia.
I need to watch that.
I'm ashamed of you that you have not watched it. This is literally like the perfect anime for you.
It's not on Netflix, and that's part of my problem.
It's on Hulu.
I know. I need to.
Season 1 is dubbed on Hulu.
I know. I know. I need to go over there, but I haven't. I haven't yet.
Okay, do it so that when I'm in the podcast next week,
we can talk about Heroes Back.
We can talk about it. Yeah.
How many seasons are they into right now? 2 or 3?
Just 2.
Okay.
But it's nice because even though it is an anime that has a long life ahead of it,
right?
They've said that in the manga they're already a third of the way done with the story, so it's not going to overstay its welcome.
Gotcha.
Which is great.
Yeah, those are all. That's always bad when a show stays on too long.
You should watch it though. Like,
yeah, I need to. Brody suggested it for a long time.
I will say this.
Yeah.
One of the great things about the show is that even in the short amount of time it takes for this to start happening, everything that the main character does feels so earned. Like,
okay,
just moments when he prevails.
Right.
You're so happy for him. And it's just such a good feeling just seeing, yes, he did it.
Right.
It's so good. And like where I just got season 2, episode 16, I believe. Not going to spoil anything for you, but like something that we've been waiting to happen for a very long time, like since the beginning of the show, finally happened. And I was freaking out when I was watching the episode. I even texted
I love
Brody.
those kind of shows.
I was like, "Oh my God, Brody, it finally happened!"
I need to watch it. I don't know what's been holding me back. Animes are always hard for me, like especially like I have to have time to watch the first 2 or 3 episodes to get hooked.
Yeah.
Like I finally started One Punch Man a few months ago, and I watched the first episode, kind of waited a week, watched the second episode. By the third, I was hooked, and then I watched the whole season in like one sitting.
You will get hooked on My Hero within the first 3 episodes.
Yeah. Well, I need to watch it.
Yeah.
Well, I've been playing a little game called Superhot on the PSVR.
Yeah.
Brody and I recorded an episode that'll be coming out next Wednesday, which we'll talk about at the end of the show. But we recorded an episode, and it was so much fun. And this is an older game. Like, this has been out on Oculus and Rift and all that stuff for so long. but it was awesome. It's so much fun on the VR. Brody and I played through, I think, like the first 2 missions. We took turns and recorded a video, and then I was like, I'm just gonna play through this whole thing. So I sat down in one sitting and played the rest of it, and beat it. But it was great, and it was almost like a workout. Have you ever seen the game or played anything like it?
No, I've yet to touch a VR system.
Ah, Steven. Okay, when y'all are up in town, we'll have to hook you up with the VR. But
yes,
Superhot is one of the funnest VR games I've played yet. Basically, the premise is that time only moves when you do. So you're in these like action fight scenes where like you've got a knife or a gun, or there's a guy pointing a gun at your face and you have to grab it before he can shoot you, that kind of thing. You're basically, this is the closest you or I will ever feel to being a superhero. No offense to either of us, but
hey, you don't know me.
Do you take it? I'm sorry, whatever. It's the closest I'm ever going to be to being Batman or a superhero. But basically, yeah, anytime you move your head or move your hands, everyone else moves, and so you can grab guns out of their hands and shoot them back, and you can actually punch the bullets to break them. It's great. But
I have seen this game.
I'm sure you have. It's like the red humans that are walking around.
Yes.
Yeah.
It looks awesome.
It's so much fun. It's really great. I got a workout out of it because I'm like dodging and like using my abs to like get around things, and it's really cool because they make you have to think. And like there was one level that had me so frustrated. You start. Every level starts off with like there's an item in front of you and you grab it, and as soon as you grab it, that's like the first thing you're gonna have, and it puts you in a scenario. Well, the item in front of me was a shoe, like a woman's heel, and I grab it and it explodes in my hand and is gone. And in front of me is this dude with no weapon, and he's like just about to punch me. So I block his punch and then I punch him back. Behind him, there are 3 other people with guns.
Yeah. And
they're all aiming to shoot you. Now you can't move. Like or you can move as much as you can in VR, which is very limited, but you can't move. So I just literally have to dodge their bullets. And I'm like, is there anything next to me? Am I supposed to like grab them somehow? And so I had to do this level 1,000,000 times because what you're supposed to do is just dodge their bullets for however long until it gives you a time to like move. There was another time something similar to this happened before I realized like, oh, I'm just gonna have to dodge their bullets. Where it put me in a place and I'm in like a graveyard, okay? Yeah. And there's a bunch of weapons on top of this grave in front of me. So I grabbed, like I had a shotgun and I like shot the people coming around this grave trying to get me, whatever. And I ended up with a bunch of weapons left over. Yeah. But when I go to the next location, which I can actually see from the location I was just at behind the grave, there's 3 guys, and it just tells me to dodge, and so I have to like get out of the way. But they all have shotguns, so there's like 1,000,000 bullets coming at me. Right. So what I did, and it almost worked. What I did is at that gravestone, I would shoot people around the grave. And I'd end up with 2 shotguns in my hand. Yeah. And so before I progressed, what I did was I turned and I threw the shotguns at where I was going to be.
That's awesome.
And I went to the next level and I turned around and I caught them. And I would almost have enough time to turn around and shoot the other people, but then their bullets would hit me. So I spent like a good minute trying to make that work, and it just didn't work. But it is so much fun, Steven. If you ever come to it is so much fun, Steven. If you ever come here, you're gonna have to play it. So, it's great. Other than that, I've been watching, and I'm ashamed of this, especially since you want me to watch My Hero Academia. I've been watching My Little Witch Academy on Netflix. Boo! Boo! It's so good. It's so good, and I'm ashamed, but I really like it. But they only put half the season on Netflix, so now I'm out of an anime again. Yeah. So if My Hero Academia was on it,
Hulu.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do Hulu. This is like the 4th or 5th time you're gonna mention Hulu through the podcast.
Yep.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Not at all.
Not at all.
But
Well, hey, let's start talking about some of the stuff that's happened this week. Why don't we talk about Middle-earth microtransactions first? Because that was a little bit earlier in the week. I, quite frankly, I'm frustrated because I understand that this is just how the world works now. But at the same time, I'm not happy. So we were talking beforehand, and you weren't really sure about kind of the full details of it, but I'll just kind of lay it out for you. So basically, there are going to be like war chests, is what they're calling them, and it will give you equipment, and then it will also give you orcs. So like certain leader orcs and certain tank type orcs that you can use in your army. It seems like to me everything you can get in these you could feasibly get in the game, but it's just kind of frustrating.
Yeah, and here's the thing about microtransactions is that they aren't as game breaking when it's a single player game.
Right.
So I don't see it as huge of a deal as it could be, but at the same time, I don't know, it's just in poor taste.
Yeah. I think they were, I don't have my notes in front of me, but I feel like they were talking about doing some kind of online multiplayer where you can actually attack other people's forts. And like defensive zones. So it's interesting. It's interesting you bring that up. That it's not really a big deal in single player, but they're adding kind of this multiplayer element to it.
Right. And it's kind of with me. Like we talked about Fortnite last week and the frustration of the loot llamas.
Right.
Even though you get them frequently, there is no dependable way to get what you want.
Right.
And if that's where they're going with Shadow of War, that's a problem because I want to see. It's a single player game. You don't need to bring any of that random nonsense into my game. I need to be able to see a really cool sword and the hurdles I have to go over to get it.
Right.
And I need to be able to go get it and use it. That's
Exactly. Well, and what's also frustrating is, granted, we got early access Fortnite and paid $30 or $40 whatever bucks for it.
60 in my case.
Really?
I paid 60. Yeah.
Jeez.
I got the deluxe.
Oh, okay. There you go. Well, that was your fault.
It
was. They in that case, it's a free-to-play game. In about a year, people will be able to play that game for free and have to pay for microtransactions. Shadow of Mordor, or Shadow of War is a full-price game that we're having to pay for. So I'm right there with you. As long as there's something, as long as there's nothing in those loot boxes or war chests that I can't get through gameplay, I'm fine.
Here's what I will say. Because you bring this up for money, Ghost Recon Wildlands has microtransactions. They have cosmetics that you can buy with real money.
Right.
But they also have all of the equipment that you can buy with real money. But all of the equipment is also stuff you can just get by going on the map and finding it.
Gotcha.
And it's easy to do.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm hoping it is for Shadow of War, because if it's just like a shortcut, I have patience. I can get there.
Right.
I don't need to pay the money, but for the people that don't have patience, great. They can spend the money and do it their way.
I'm right there too. Like, if you want to spend the money and do that, more power to you. That's fine.
Right.
I just don't want to be stuck behind a paywall where I have to pay more to be able to progress. I will say this, in the stories I've read, there's going to be an in-game currency that you can use to buy these war chests. And you get that through playing the game. You can use real money to buy that in-game currency, but it's not required. So
sounds like
that's
Fortnite.
A plus. Yeah, sounds like Fortnite. So that's a plus, and that should be good. But I'm just a little surprised that a game like Shadow of War is going that direction.
Me too, because they don't have who publishes them. Do we know?
Not off the top of my head. I could look.
WB?
I believe it is.
That doesn't seem like a move from them. Because if it was EA, I'd be like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
well, I have to kind of think it must be that multiplayer aspect that they're adding into it.
Yeah, that would make sense.
They must know that that's going to work better in that environment. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. I'm very ready for that game to get out. I'm wondering if that's part of why they delayed it. Was they were like, oh, what if we can work this out?
I would bet money that they're trying to make me spend in their game. I would bet that money that's why they delayed the game.
I would bet that money that I'm going to spend on war chest.
Specifically that money. Hashtag not sponsored, Shadow.
Yeah, exactly. Gosh. Oh well. Anyway, it doesn't really affect me at this point because there's nothing behind a paywall. It doesn't look like, but still just kind of frustrating that's where we're going.
Yeah, Shadow of Mordor was just so simple, and it's like they're overcrowding Shadow of War.
Yeah,
they're just taking such a leap into grounds that I didn't see it needing to go to.
Oh yeah, no. The multiplayer stuff should be interesting. I'm ready to see more of that. I'd love to see gameplay of that, but I don't know. Could be cool.
Yeah.
All right. What about let's transition into other things that frustrate me because I'm gonna have to spend more money. Is Disney, who earlier this year or last year did a partnership with Netflix where basically the first place Disney movies were going to go was Netflix.
Right.
So you would see the movies on there before you would see them on DVD or Blu-ray or whatever. They have now said they're pulling everything from Netflix and they're going to start their own Disney movies, TV show, streaming service.
Right.
Very much like Netflix, very much like HBO Now. Steven, what are your thoughts?
So, I kind of see it. I don't like it, but okay. So, Young Justice.
Yes.
And I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. Young Justice Season 3 is coming. It's
Right.
going to come to Netflix. Then DC decided, no, we're going to start our own streaming service.
Yep.
So now Young Justice Season 3 and Teen Titans, the live-action show, are going to this streaming service.
That's right, yes.
So it is becoming a trend for big third parties when it comes to streaming services like Disney, DC, all those to kind of get their own foot in the money pool.
Yeah.
And my problem with Netflix.
Yeah.
And just to say this because my one thing that I wanted to make sure I said during this topic was the Marvel series will be unaffected as of right now. They will
that's
still be
interesting.
coming to
I hadn't even
Netflix.
thought about that.
Yes. That last I heard, everything is still going as according to plan on the Netflix front.
Okay, I hadn't even thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah. But Netflix has gotten way worse this year. Because they're starting to focus more on their original programming. And
which most of it is good. Most of it is really good.
It is good, but at the same time, you're alienating a very large portion of people that have Netflix for the reason of binge watching. They literally, they say Netflix and chill because watch old TV shows and hang out. Like that's a whole thing. And now that really is kind of being
falling
lost.
apart. Yeah.
Hulu is picking up the slack with the TV front because Hulu's anime selection is way better.
Yeah.
Their like sitcom and cartoon selection is way better.
Hulu has a lot of shows where like the show will air on TV and then by the next day it'll be on Hulu.
Yeah, that's where I watch all of my shows now. I used to I go to sleep to the TV, but I don't have cable.
Right.
I used to use Netflix. Now I use Hulu because Hulu has basically anything that I wanted.
Yeah.
And because they just picked up the entire Fox animation lineup, so.
Family
Guy, American Dad, Simpsons, Bob's Burgers, all that kind of stuff.
Bob's Burgers. Love Bob's Burgers.
I love that show. I just finished season 6 and 7. Love it.
It's great.
Yeah, but on one front, yes, that is bad because Netflix is starting to lose a demographic that got them where they are today.
Right.
But at the same time, it almost looks like they're seeing ahead of the curve. Because if Netflix decided earlier on this year, we're not going to renew a lot of the contracts we have with some of these shows, we're going to focus our money more on our original programming, then suddenly DC is like, we're going to do original programming. And now Disney is like, we're going to do original programming. suddenly there may not be a business in using contracts with other companies like Disney, DC that make their own shows, and the money might be in streaming services that make their own content now. So
Right.
maybe this is a strategy from Netflix to get ahead of the curve of everybody leaving them by establishing early on a following of their original programming before everyone leaves them.
So this is so funny. Hearing you say, I think you're on the right track.
Yeah.
So to be honest, I'm surprised that Disney was putting stuff on Netflix to begin with.
Yeah.
Them creating their own streaming service where they're streaming movies, they're streaming TV shows that are all Disney. That does not surprise me at all. HBO went that route a long time ago. Disney coming in and doing that now is fine. I see things like this happening more and more. I think Fox is going to eventually do that. DC's obviously
with FX.
Exactly.
$6 monthly streaming service.
I think ABC is going to go this route. I mean, it's all going to start falling into that. And I mean, me and Lee Allison were kind of talking about this. Like, we have a Netflix subscription. We have a Rooster Teeth subscription. We have a Hulu subscription. And I think we have a Crunchyroll subscription. So that's, I don't know, almost $30 or $40 worth of subscription, probably even more. And it's almost, we're getting to the point, and this is hilarious, we're getting to the point where people were leaving TV to get streaming services like Netflix because it was cheaper and easier.
Yep.
Now we're getting to the point where it's going to be more expensive to have access to all the streaming services.
Yep.
And people are going to start going towards
back
TV
to cable.
again.
Maybe this is just a long game play by the cable company.
It really may be. I mean, seriously, that might be their plan, is if we all break this out. But
another thing could happen, and this already happened with Hulu, is that streaming services may drop their prices. Because Hulu used to be, I want to say, $10, $15 a month.
Right.
And now I pay $8. And I've been paying $8 for a year.
Yeah.
And it's just way better. The library is way bigger. It's got shows that are on today. I can get the shows the next day. Hashtag not sponsored. Hey, Hulu. That's two. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Netflix anymore. I'm excited about some of the original programming they've got. Like, I hear they have a new slate of anime coming out. Defenders is
their
going
new
to be
anime
so
is going to be good. Have you seen Castlevania?
I haven't yet. I've heard good things.
You could watch it really quickly. I mean, you could literally watch the whole thing in 2 hours. It's only, I think it's only 4 episodes, 30 minutes each, something like that. So
that's weird.
It's really, really good. I don't know why they didn't do more in one go, but yeah, I mean, Netflix has great stuff. They have been going towards more original content, and it's all been good. It's all been great. But yeah, it used to be that Netflix was kind of that catch-all for streaming. And now it's starting to become so segregated.
It's almost like, streaming services, YouTube included. Honestly, YouTube is a big part of this. Maybe even the first one to push this far. They all want to become basically another TV channel. Because YouTube, the way they measure their channels and stuff now is through watch time. And they're trying to get you to watch as much as possible. And they're trying to push YouTube Red with their original programming.
Right.
And so now it just seems like everybody's going into that original programming. And I get it. I do. And I do appreciate it in a sense because you've got these creators that may not be picked up by cable or anywhere bigger where they have life somewhere else.
Right.
And like these Marvel shows that we've got. Seeing Daredevil and all of its gruesome, gritty, brutal combat glory, I get to see it on Netflix because it didn't have a life on ABC. And it's nice to see opportunities like that show up.
Yeah.
But suddenly, it's becoming oversaturated almost.
Right.
To where it's not as accessible by trying to be more accessible.
It's crazy. Who knows? I'm interested to see where this all goes, but I can't. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's a good thing. I think it is going to almost, in a way, push people back to cable and TV, which could work. That could be great for cable, but whatever. Speaking of cable,
I was going to use that.
Oh my God! What a transition. So we got our first look at Cable from Daredevil, or excuse me, Deadpool 2.
Deadpool 2.
Thanos coming to Daredevil or Deadpool.
Deadpool.
God, I don't know why I'm getting all mixed up.
I think Josh Brolin was a good pick. He wasn't my first pick, but
Right.
he's a good pick.
He looks great.
He does.
In
A lot of people are saying he looks too scrawny, which I tend to agree with because Cable is always super bulky.
Yeah, he's huge in all the
Yeah.
comics that I've seen. So I thought that was an interesting choice too. He
Also-
definitely has the grit look though.
Yes,
That he
yes.
needs.
Other complaint that people are saying is that half of his face isn't metal. But someone brought up that it looks like the left half of his face, I think it's the left, looks skin graft.
Right.
So there may be a moment in the movie where like he gets blown off in battle, which would be kind of cool. But I love the gun that he's holding in that picture because
It looks super cool.
let me tell you what all is on this gun.
Go for
Okay, so they got the stock from a Thompson, the body from a
Right.
Vector submachine gun, and the underbarrel grenade launcher of like
Yes.
just an assault rifle. It makes no earthly sense, but I love it because that is so Cable. It really is. Because in the comics, he always had these like really elaborate, just ridiculous looking guns.
Because he's from the future, right?
Right. So Cable is actually, this is where it gets weird. Cable is Cyclops' son
Right.
from the future.
Right.
Um,
And he's time traveling to stop Apocalypse, right? Typically.
I think.
Yeah.
Yes. I think so. My X-Men is very rusty, but I do know that Cable and Deadpool are like basically BFFs in the comic books,
Right.
and it should be an interesting dynamic
Yeah.
because they're basically polar opposites.
Right. I was about to say, Josh Brolin, just from what we've seen of him with Thanos and other things he's been in, he's going to be so deadpan, and it should be interesting to see Deadpool play off of him. And Ryan Reynolds did an awesome job in Deadpool 1. And he's the embodiment of what Deadpool's supposed to be. So
Yeah, absolutely. I love him. He's great.
yeah.
I enjoyed Deadpool. I hope that and here's probably a stupid complaint that if you can call it a complaint. If you look at Cable's left leg, he has a teddy bear in a holster.
Yes, I noticed that.
That may be a reference to something. I'm just gonna disclaimer here.
Okay.
I don't know Cable that well. Maybe it's a reference to something, but what my gut instinct tells me is that they may pull some kind of weird, like Captain Boomerang and Suicide Squad had a quoting here, pink unicorn fetish.
Right, yeah.
I don't want them to do something like that with Cable, just for
He's got like a
weirdness.
teddy bear from his childhood that is the last thing his father gave him or something, and he carries it with him everywhere.
That would be okay.
Okay.
That would be okay. What I don't want it to be is something weird, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
Oh God, it's gonna be something weird.
I know, but that's my problem. Is because with Deadpool,
at the very
you
least,
know it's gonna be weird.
At the very least, they're gonna let Deadpool pretend like it's something weird, and then he's gonna turn around and be like, "No, this was the last thing my father ever gave me," or something like that.
See, I think it would be cool if it was like something from like a little girl he saved or failed to save in the future, and he carries it with her as a reminder. Something like that would be awesome. But it's Deadpool, so it's not gonna be because it's Deadpool.
Because it's Deadpool. Deadpool 1, Liao and I both saw it together. We really, really loved it. It was one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. But it was so bad. Like, it was a whole new level of bad. But it was so funny. It was really, really good. There were a lot of great one-liners that came out of that. I don't know. I mean, I'm just excited for Deadpool 2. So
Me too.
I'm pleased with what I'm seeing from Cable already. So I only have higher hopes for the sequel.
Agreed.
All right. So you were telling me Dragon's Dogma announced a release date today. Talk to me about that.
Yes. So Dragon's Dogma is this little RPG made by Capcom that came out on Xbox 360 and PS3 in 2010, 11, 12, one of those years.
I don't know how I haven't played this or how I haven't done anything with it because there's dragons, right? Are you fighting dragons?
Okay, the game literally begins with your character, which, by the way, this game has probably the best character creator I've ever had in an RPG. It's amazing. So your character is walking along his little fishing village, and then a dragon falls from the sky, comes in, and just wrecks your fishing village. And then you go up to him with a little sword, and you're like poking at him, and then he knocks you off, goes up to you, takes his big claw, he's a big dragon,
right?
And he pokes you in the chest and pulls out your heart and eats it. And he basically says, if you want it back, come kill me. And so the entire game is you. It's this whole thing about how you're still alive, but you're like the chosen one. You trying to gain the strength to hunt down this dragon. His name's Grigori. He's huge. And kill him. I never got that far. But I've played the game. Okay. I've bought that game 3 times. 3 separate times. Because the first time I bought it was just regular Dragon's Dogma. And then they re-released it as Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, which was an expansion pack.
Right.
You had to buy it along with the regular game. So that was basically a re-release.
Right.
So I got that for Xbox 360. Then I didn't play it much. And then they released it for PC 2 years ago. And I was like, heck yes, I'm going to play this. So I played it. I bought it. I played it. It was great. And now they're doing it again. So this will be the 4th time I will have bought Dragon's Dogma because I'm going to buy it.
So it's the same game. It's just a re-release on PS4 and Xbox
One.
PS4,
Xbox One. Yes. But the thing that's so captivating about this game, I think, the story is okay. The map is pretty cool. You have to walk most places, so it's got a very adventurous feel to it.
Right.
So when you make your character, again, one of the best character creators I've ever used, you also create someone called your pawn. Your pawn is your teammate that never leaves you. They are always with you. So I always played a ranger, and my pawn was a fighter, so sword and shield guy to draw aggro and tank for me. But you also can have 2 other pawns in your party, and those pawns can be pawns that other players created as their wingman. So other players are taking my pawn and taking him into their game.
Okay.
And this is where it just gets really cool. So I did this one quest where I was attacking a bandit castle, and my pawn's name was Philip. And Philip, I was going on this quest, and I had never done this quest before, and Philip goes, Master, follow me. I've been here before. Because another player had taken him and done this quest, so he learned about that quest. And they also learned how to fight enemies. So, like, we fight these giant lizard things called saurians. And Philip jumps on top of it and goes, Master, I know how to fight these things. I'm going to hold it down, you beat it. So as the pawns fight alongside other players, they get smarter. And they learn more tactics.
That's cool.
Yes, and it also is one of the best RPG combat systems I've ever played. Because it's very active. It's third person. You move around. You do combos. The bow combat's really fun. And the bosses are reminiscent to something of a four character team based Shadow of the Colossus, to where you can climb on top of enemies and find their weak points.
Right.
And take them down. So, like, as a ranger, I have the great bow, so if we're fighting a Cyclops, I, of course, want to keep my distance and shoot him in the eye, and he'll weaken, fall to the ground, and my team will go and get him. But you can also play another class that's good at climbing, and, climb on top of enemies. Even if you're fighting a griffin, the griffin may fly off, but one of your teammates may be on the griffin, just hacking at it. So, the combat's crazy.
Right.
And that's what's been so captivating about it, that keeps people coming back, is because it feels like a 4-player team-based action-oriented RPG,
right?
But it's not, and it even has a forced aggro system, which is something you would think you could play co-op, because this player can be like, "Oh, attack me," and your other player isn't.
Right.
So
is it multiplayer online? It's just all the pawns.
Yes.
Interesting.
But that's what's so weird, is because they have this formula for an awesome 2 to 4 player action RPG, but they haven't done it yet. In Japan, they have Dragon's Dogma Online. So what a lot of people are saying, this is why so many people keep buying Dragon's Dogma during all the re-releases, they tell themselves, maybe if I buy it this time, they'll give me Dragon's Dogma Online. And I'm one of those people because
Right.
I love that game, but what is keeping it from being like a solid 10 is playing it with somebody else.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
It's right there too. Like it's so easy for them to implement, but they just haven't yet. And I'm hoping that them re-releasing it so many times shows that they haven't lost faith in the franchise and they're actively working on something new.
So have they talked any about that with this new re-release on PS4 and Xbox One?
Like about any newer games after this one?
Multiplayer? Yeah, or just multiplayer coming to that.
Literally all they've said is just, hey, come play it on your PS4 now or your Xbox One, as far as I know.
Right.
They know that they've got so many people just by the throat with this game because they've got a gem on their hands and they just... I don't know. I'm holding on to hope that they've got bigger and better ideas for a sequel. Because if they make a sequel, it has to have co-op. There's no way it won't.
Right.
I just can't.
Well, it's interesting to me that they're re-releasing it for what, the third or fourth time?
Third time.
And they haven't made a sequel or done any effort to make a sequel.
Fourth time. Well, like I said, it's Capcom. And in Japan, they do have Dragon's Dogma Online, which looks great.
Right.
I'm really hoping that they're going to bring it to the Western audience because they've got such a following here.
Right. Well, cool. When is the release date again?
October 3rd.
October 3rd. Oh, wow, that's not far. Not far at all. Well, cool. Well, speaking of Japan and other countries...
Dang, look at us go.
I'm on a roll with segues here today. Steven, have you heard about how eSports... There's a rumor going around that eSports may be a part of the Olympics, this coming Olympics.
That is the extent of my knowledge, but yes, I have heard this.
Apparently, there are a lot of people pushing for this.
Yeah.
And I think it could be really cool.
I agree.
I have two warring sides within me about this. Part of it, I don't like sports. I'm not a sports guy. I don't really, care much about sports. With the exception of, I love the Olympics. I don't know what it is about it. I just love it. I like watching the archery. I like watching the swimming. It's all the cool activities in my head.
Yes.
So so part of me is like bringing esports and video games into it. That's just so far breaking from what they're doing and what they're a part of. Like the Olympics, what it all stands for. There's another part of me that's like, no, this is like the modern age. Like this is what, like if the Olympics were made today, this might be what would be in there.
Yeah.
So there's a part of me that would kind of like to see it, but I don't know. What do you think about it all?
I don't think it's ready yet.
Maybe like
I think
two
the
Olympics
next
from now.
time.
Yeah.
I think we're definitely headed there because esports is blowing up right now.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're there yet.
People are jumping the gun.
Yeah, I think so a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Like I said, it's one of those things that I think it should happen at some point.
Agreed.
But it does feel like it's just there's so much tradition in the Olympics and there's so much history.
Yep.
It's going to be hard for video games to break into that. I just can't even imagine what that would look like. Like, can you imagine instead of watching Michael Phelps or somebody like that every summer watching, esports, watch people play Overwatch?
Yeah. I wouldn't want to play in the esports Olympics. I would want to commentate for the esports Olympics.
Oh, Chortle Games hosts for the Olympics.
Yes.
2018. We're gonna start that petition right now. We're gonna start it. I will tweet it today, and it's gonna happen.
In the link below. Can I say that?
Yes,
No?
go for it. In the link below, I'll link the Twitter. We're gonna start a poll. Chortle Games host for the Olympics, esports Olympics. What year would that be? 2022, I think.
Yes.
I'll find out, and it'll be in that tweet. So there you go. I'm right there with you. See, and so when I saw all this, I tweeted. I was like, my country needs me. This is my time. But like, I would not be good enough to be in the esports Olympics.
No.
Like, Can you imagine the pressure? Like in soccer or football for Europeans, they murder people over those things. Crowds will swarm and destroy. Obviously, the Olympics isn't quite that serious, but geez, that pressure would just be insane. Yeah. But if I was ever going to be in the Olympics, that's what I'd be in the Olympics for.
I'm trying to think of a game that would be like my Olympic video game. What would yours be? Because I can't put my finger on one right now.
Top of my head, I'm thinking Kingdom Hearts or Legend of Zelda. I don't know how you could do that competitively, but I could probably do it better than most. I feel like I'm really good at those games. But as far as like a competitive game, I'm not good enough in Overwatch to do that. I don't know. There's not any games that like have eSports at this moment that I would be good enough to go into.
Competitive? Titanfall 2 for me.
You would be good at that.
I wreck at Titanfall 2. I used to wreck at Titanfall 2. I have not played in a while, and like I see so many people doing these crazy things where they're just they traverse the map in like 2 seconds flat because of the grappling hook and like all this stuff, and I'm like, who are you? Like,
no. We had a guy who I knew who he competed in Call of Duty tournaments like on the weekends. Like this was his job. Like this is how he got money, and he would tell me like he'd have to practice, a certain number of hours, and then he'd compete in tournaments and get however much and stuff. And he was good, but I was just like, wow, I am not prepared for anything like that.
Yeah.
So kind of crazy. Well, you haven't watched Game of Thrones, and you don't watch Game of Thrones, and you need to watch Game of Thrones, and I'm going to drag you to watch Game of Thrones at one time. But
drag me. Okay.
We get it? Drag? Like dragon? I should have segued to Game of Thrones during Dragon's Dogma. That would have been a better segue.
You should have. Sloppy.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Because then I could have said, speaking of countries warring against each other... Gosh, oh well. Anyway.
See, we had it. Like, the puzzle was coming up, and then you realized, like 3 steps down, I did the wrong piece.
It's like, have you ever played Mexican Train? Domino Train?
My parents love that game.
I love it too. There's always a moment when I'll plan out what I'm going to do, and there's always a moment where I have to split. And it's like, okay, I can either go with the 9 and the 0, or I can go with the 8 and the 5. And one of these are going to have to match up at some point. What's going to match up better? And so I always make the wrong decision. That's what I just did. I just didn't connect the dots just right.
It's okay.
I will. Anyway, speaking of Game of Thrones, Brody and I watched it this weekend. It was one of the biggest episodes this season so far, perhaps in the whole series. Daenerys rode her dragon in to Westeros for the first time and destroyed everything. It was great. We also saw Arya return to Winterfell for the first time and reunite with her younger brother and or I guess he's younger, I'm not sure, Bronn and Sansa, and it was great. We had this awesome fight between Arya and Brienne, and it was really, really good. Steven, you need to watch Game of Thrones, because if Brody can't ever come back to the podcast, I'm not going to have anybody to talk about Game of Thrones too.
I can put on a fake enthusiastic face every time you finish a sentence and gradually get more excited.
That works. I can do that.
Next time.
If this happens again. Well, hey folks, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Chortle Cast with special guest Steven. You're like 2 more episodes away from not being a special guest and just being a regular old cast member.
Okay. Is it like a membership card that I have to get
I'm gonna have. I guess the membership card is getting having our animator come up with a character for you. So you're like maybe two episodes away from that. So,
I saw those characters you guys had.
Yeah.
And like, not even no joke. My thought was, I'm gonna get one of those characters.
I've got an idea in my head for what yours should be doing, because mine's like slamming the ground and Brody's is just like, yeah. I want yours to just be like deadpan, just standing there, like no care in the world. That's what I want. But maybe that's coming down the line. But anyway, Thanks again for being on the podcast, Steven. It's always a pleasure having you. Hope to have you more and more. If you've enjoyed anything we've talked about this podcast for this episode, feel free to leave a comment and let us know. We want to hear from you and hear your thoughts. You can do that in several ways. You can, if you're watching on YouTube, you're already at chortlegames.com or youtube.com/c/chortlegames. And you can leave us a comment on this video, and we'll respond to that. If you're a podcast listener, you can leave us a nice little review on iTunes, and we'll read those and respond to those. We do enjoy reviews on iTunes. That helps us out a lot, get the podcast momentum going. You can also send us an email at chortlecast@gmail.com. And you can let us know topics you'd like to hear us talk about. If there's a news story in the week that you'd like to hear our opinion on, you can let us know that. And then last but not least, you can send us a tweet on Twitter at Chortle Games, and we'll tweet you back. So, again, thanks for joining. Thanks, Steven, for coming in.
Yep.
We've got a great week of content. We're going to have the third episode of Fortnite coming out this upcoming Monday. It's really, really funny. I was just telling Steven about one of the jokes that he made in that episode that I did a cool little Photoshop animation to. That's really, really funny. It has to do with Brazil and deforestation, which sounds random, but it's pretty funny when it happens. That's going to be a great episode. And then Wednesday, it's going to be that Superhot video that Brody and I recorded, where we first played Superhot. So it's very fun. I hope we'll do more of that. We're going to have a lot of VR on the channel in the coming weeks. I don't know why. It's just there's a lot of VR games that have come out recently.
Right.
Whether they're old but now are on PSVR and we have access to them, or they're just freshly released, we're getting access to a lot more VR. So if you're enjoying those, let us know and whatnot. And then, of course, on Friday, we'll have another podcast for you. And that's it for our show this week. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks again, Steven.
Yep.
See you next time. You got closing words, Steven. You got anything?
I've been thinking for the past 2 minutes of something to say, and
You got to make a prophecy now that we know you're prophetic.
prophecy. Okay. Monday's episode of Chortle Games is going to be a really good one.
He's not lying. Bye.